Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to Beyond the Mat with me, J. Cole Yoga. Let's get right into this. We're going to go way, way back. Back into the times of communities living tribally, more like a small, tight-knit little crew, villages, and you would have these like healer kind of people. You'd have your shamans or shamans, and they've kind of today we look back on them as these like crazy mystical things, but if you kind of like go back even further, you would have like shamans or maybe like the witch or maybe like the healer or whoever it was. These were people who were trying to prove their value so they wouldn't get kicked out of town. So they were like constantly trying to prove that they had value and that they were not worthless. So they would come up with things and reasons to stay relevant, basically. And I'm not saying anything like negative about them. I mean, I'm sure that they had a purpose and everything to heal people, which is good. But I mean, a lot of the times I'm starting to see that a lot of healing that was done was for no reason at all, when paradigms were being set up. And we'll talk more about that in a few minutes. So going way back, so we've got healers, shamans, witches, what have you, medicine men, medicine women, out in the jungles, out in towns and villages, at the top of the temple, things like that, who have set up systems to prove that they're worth, to prove that they have value, so that society doesn't get rid of them. Fast forward a little bit, into time, and that power literally went from witches and shamans into the clergy, into the church, who claimed to have set up this whole other system of how it is, of how life is, of why we're here, how the universe works, everything about the world. They had their own way of looking at it, and they kind of like wanted everybody to get on board with their way of looking at it, so that they could sell you things, so that they could sell their value and sell their worth, so that they wouldn't be kicked out, so that they would always have jobs, and they would always, again, have value in the community as these communities expanded into cities and things like that. And then let's fast forward even further. We have science and doctors who went out of their way to make sure that the clergy and the church was ridiculed as being a bunch of hoopla, so that they could sell their paradigm and their way of looking at things and their way of how the earth works and how everything is. And it's kind of where we're still at today. Everyone believing in doctors and scientists to tell us how it is. And so they're the ones right now kind of like pulling the strings, making everybody do everything so that we don't kick them out. If we all realize one day, well, we don't need all these doctors and scientists for anything. Those people are all out of a job, and that's not cool for them, obviously, but I'm sure there's lots of stuff that they could do otherwise. But that's not even what we're talking about here today, so let's not get that crazy about trying to fire people. What I really wanted to talk about was getting caught up and wrapped up in these paradigms, because like I'm a sucker for it too. So now let's fast forward again after the science and everything is taken over, and we have like spiritual healers coming out, and I'm even gonna like pick on a few of my like favorite people. So like Eckhart Tolle, Power of Now, Teal Swan's another one. There's a guy, Joe Dispenza. His whole thing is he set up this paradigm about telling this story about how your identity is a certain way because of the influences around you in the world, and everything that's happened to you and everything has made you who you are, and that you can go back and reprogram that. And now the weird thing is that you'll find these talks on YouTube, and geez, we even signed up for the Gaia TV. I started watching these documentaries, and like the whole documentaries are literally like a commercial for like a spa, or it's a commercial for the people who involved, who they're interviewing in the documentaries, where they never give any actual meat. There's never any actual answers or substance. They're just kind of, it's like a breadcrumb trail leading you down this path so that eventually, you know, you're like, oh, I better buy a plane ticket to Seattle and go see this Joe Dispenza guy talk so I can like figure out how to reprogram myself, and go to one of his seminars where again you're just going to sit there and listen to more stuff drabble on about how, you know, these, how you can be fixed and how you can be healed and changed and altered, but like the answers never come, you know. They give you this like little song and dance, but there's never any meat or any substance to it until you actually get into like hiring these people as a personal life coach, where then they're getting right into your lives personally, one-on-one. And it seems to all boil down to that with this like self-help stuff these days. And I guess that's really what I wanted to talk about, was being duped. And I'm a sucker for it. Like, I love this stuff. I get wrapped up in it all the time. I'm just, you know, I watch these documentaries and things, and, you know, by the end of it, I'm like, yeah, that's what I need. I need to spend $5,000 and go to that resort for 3 weeks and do this plant medicine ceremony. I need to do that. And it's like, no, I don't need to do that. I was just shown this documentary that was very enticing, you know, to make me want to like go out and do these kinds of things. But technically do not need to jump down all these paths. What we need to do, and I'm not telling anyone what to do, but I'm saying this, I guess, for myself, is what we need to do is write our own paradigms and stop looking externally at all these systems that other people have written. I mean, sure, like all this stuff that even like Eckhart Tolle says is like, it's great stuff, but it's like based on this like paradigm that he sat down and wrote. If you think to like J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings, how he sat down and wrote incredible landscapes of a whole realm and its people and the history and language and everything and its cultures and ceremonies and everything that they went through and the wars that happened and the names and the characters and the family and the bloodlines, and he intensely wrote this whole thing. But I mean, he never turned around and tried to like tell people that, oh, this is reality and this is how it is, kind of like Scientology has done, who has written all of the same kind of volume and then tried to apply it and tell everyone that it was all real. And I feel like a lot of this stuff and a lot of this, like these Gaia self-help people and all this stuff is really doing the same thing. They've written these elaborate paradigms that sure do apply to a lot of people because they're using a lot of easy things like, and this is just an extreme example, like, do you find yourself breathing? Do you ever blink during the day? And people are like, yeah, I breathe. Oh yeah, I blink. Would you like to change how you breathe and blink? Oh yeah, I would. So like they find these easy things that really relate to a lot of people, and then now they've harnessed the power. They've got your attention. And they're pulling you into their paradigm, and the more you read this paradigm that they've created, this whole system, you're like, yeah, that's me, and that's me, and that's me. Oh yeah, and that's me too, and then they've got you, and then you're trapped in their paradigm, and you've not created your own. So really, each of us, myself included, should stop looking so externally for answers and seek more internally within for the answers that we have. And a seeker will always be a seeker. And when someone sees a seeker, you know, it's easy to tell those people like, oh, hey, I've got some answers for you, buddy. Come right this way. Oh, wait. $500. You know, grease my palms a little bit here. I'll show you where the temple is. It's right over here around the corner in this alley. So I guess just kind of keep all of that kind of stuff in mind when you're out there looking and you're journeying. Just try and keep an open mind about these paradigms that exist and about all these different systems that are in place. And I'm not even saying that like each of these people invented these systems themselves. They're just, some of them are just playing off of these systems that were previously installed or previously have been built upon. It's kind of like any charlatan could walk in and kind of look at this whole system and go, oh yeah, you know what? I could fit in right there, and I could sell them this bottle of snake oil from right here in this point of the whole system. And I could use all of this blah, 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 blah as a way to sell my snake oil. Not saying all of this is all snake oil. Not saying that at all. There's a lot of good shit in there. I mean, get on it, do it. Do the meditations, man. Do the ayahuasca ceremonies. Do the magic mushrooms. Like, breathe, do the breathe exercises, the holotropic breath work, do all of that stuff. Like, it's awesome stuff. Like, there's no doubt about it. It's just don't fall victim to the trap of being so inclusive in your mind about the paradigm, the overall paradigm of it all. That's all I really had to say today, folks. I'm going to take a dog for a walk to a park now and enjoy the beautiful sunshine out there in this lovely, beautiful Victoria, BC. Peace, love, and light. Namaste. And all that other good noise. And we out. Ding. Peace, love, and light. And all that other good noise. Yeah, that one was better. We'll go with that one.